Hey everybody, I'm Josh.
I'm Jace.
And we're here to watch the death battle between Magneto versus Tetsuo from Akira. Now, I have never seen Akira. That makes me sound like a bad anime fan. But, here's what this is my prediction, okay? Magneto's gonna win. Because when it comes to Akira...
I don't even know anything about Akira.
Here's the thing about Akira. It's one movie, one manga, and that's it. With Magneto, there's like a bunch of different fucking comic books. What if Magneto was Jesus? What if Magneto was Santa Claus? They're gonna incorporate all that shit because that's what Death Battle does. That's why manga is better than comic books. Because I was thinking about this. When it comes to comic books, there's always like the status quo. Like, you know, the whole thing with like in the Justice League movie, Cyborg has problems with his dad. That's like that in a lot of the versions of the canon. And every time there's a new interpretation of Cyborg, he always has like problems with his dad. He will never not have problems with his dad because that's always the status quo. And it's the same like development every time he gets a better relationship with his dad. Meanwhile, like in
same way every creation of Batman involves a death in an alley.
Yeah. It's like there's no it doesn't develop any further, you know? There's still interesting things that can be done with the character, but like at a certain point, I'm surprised it isn't getting stale, you know? It is kind of getting stale, because that's why people are turning more towards manga. They have a lot more variety when it comes to manga.
Manga is something I should get into now. Actually, this past weekend, it wasn't a manga, but I did buy my first light novel.
Did you start it?
I have not started yet.
Okay, that's fine.
I'm going to, eventually.
I'm trying to think about Magneto. He's just the master of magnetism. I don't know if Akira's got magnetic powers. I don't even know what his powers are. I just know he turns into a giant, like, Cronenberg monster thing. Like those things from Rick and Morty. Other than that, let's just fucking go. I'm starting to think that anime doesn't have the advantage that I thought it did. When it comes to death battles, I think Magneto's just gonna win this one.
Full screen.
Full screen.
And here we...
The analysis are gonna be like, oh, Magneto, he fought off the god of magnets. The magnet god, Polaris, and Magneto whooped his ass.
Magneto, Marvel's mutant master of magnetism.
Is there a god of magnetism?
I wouldn't be surprised. Some bullshit that the Marvel Comics made up at one point.
These two maestros of kinesis have ignited revolution not just in their worlds, but also the very mediums they exist within.
He's Wiz and I'm Boomstick.
And it's our job to analyze their weapons, armor, and skills to find out who would win a death battle.
Nice.
In the short duration of modern civilization, likely no conflict tested humanity more than the Second World War. In the primary
you know what also sucks up for the X-Men comic stories? They're stuck in like the 80s and 90s. Because at a certain, if you try to set like X-Men in the present day, Magneto would have just died from old age, you know, because they set his backstory to World War II.
Extremely traumatic.
Like Batman's parents, they can die whenever.
Death with his future wife, misfortune always followed wherever he went.
Thanks to his unexpected mutation called the X gene. The
dislikes wooden guns.
After settling down in Russia,
that's a deep cut.
Family, the KGB quickly
not
found
plastic
out
guns. Are they made of plastic in X2 or not X2?
I thought it was
Days of Future Past.
Naturally,
maybe I thought.
Snapped and killed
I guess it
them
was
all.
plastic.
I don't blame him. I'd do that too. Too bad his wife didn't get it and ditched him though. But that's when Magneto made a choice. Since humans hurt him his entire life, he'd do the same to them in the name of mutants everywhere.
At first, Magneto turned to the telepathic powerhouse Charles Xavier and his fledgling team of heroes. But his new friend wasn't thrilled with the idea of, subjugating the human race. So, Magneto formed his own team of mutants, the Brotherhood.
Magneto can telekinetically move, bend, and reshape any metal he's aware of. Bullets, vehicles, buildings, you name it. Even himself when he manipulates his personal magnetic field for flight and energy barriers.
Magnetic kinesis is far more versatile than it would appear at first glance. The blood in your body has iron in it. The air has traces of lead and mercury. Whole mountains are lined with metallic ore. The Earth itself is surrounded by a literal magnetic field.
So many toys for Maggie to play with. He can detect magnetic fields at such a huge range, he can even pinpoint Earth's magnetic rays while stranded on a planet in another galaxy. And guess what? He was able to use those rays to pull himself back to Earth in a single day.
His range is even more remarkable than that. Did you know that in 1820, physicist Hans Christian Ørsted discovered that electric currents, like those of electrons and protons and atoms, produce their own magnetic fields?
Oh, he's
Magneto
fucking with
could
atoms?
fine-tune his control to affect these very subatomic particles. Dummy here will illustrate such a particle, with positively charged protons and negative electrons.
My life is as meaningless as an atom is small.
So what you're saying is Magneto could, like, yank one of those out.
Correct, potentially changing an atom's entire chemical makeup. However, neutrons do not have a charge, and without the ability to adjust those to accommodate the change in atomic mass, the atom would become unstable and...
Finally!
Finally! Grr, self-destruct.
Finally! Magneto's violent protest against humankind clashed with Xavier's peaceful
fuck yeah.
reconciliation.
Such a
Not
good
unlike
shot right there.
ideologies taught by Malcolm X and Dr. King.
Imagine the
by
triggers
whom
are made of
Stanley
wood,
and Jack
so you
Kirby
can't
were
pull them.
inspired. Magneto would spend most of his career pushing Xavier away to prove his philosophy's superior, which meant doing battle with Xavier's school of thought. Quite literally.
And Baldy's mind powers are no joke, but thanks to Magneto's psionic repelling helmet, Professor X couldn't touch him. Magneto survived Cyclops' earth-splitting lasers, absorbed the power of the sun to battle Iron Man, ripped the adamantium skeleton out of Wolverine's body, and even taken on Hercules himself. You know, the Greek legend, Zero to Hero, the guy who held up the skies of Olympus for Atlas? That Hercules.
Seems sensible. Magneto once used the Earth's magnetic field to overwhelm the Phoenix Force, which
Oh,
can
God.
effortlessly destroy planets, let alone far more.
Hell, if he really wanted to, Magneto could totally just fling the Earth off its axis.
It's entirely possible he may have eventually resorted to just that. Over time, it became clear Magneto's war was doing far more harm than good for his fellow mutants, however well-intentioned he may have been at first.
Luckily, he later realized he was going a bit overboard and began reevaluating his perspective. Good for you, Mags. It's really tough to recognize when you're the baddie.
It took time and patience not just from Magneto, but also from his peers. Yet eventually, his path was completely changed. He even became a leader for Xavier's X-Men.
But don't let his new
The status quo.
ways fool you.
It has to go back to the status quo.
You can bet Magneto will be there to annihilate it. Forever. By any means necessary.
They didn't really talk about any weaknesses. Yes.
Over 30 years ago, a new type of bomb was set off over Tokyo, and 9 hours later, began the Third World War.
No.
Welcome to 2030, or 2019 if you're watching the anime. The buildings are taller,
Changed
the
the year.
motorcycles
That's
are
weird.
cooler, and the future is brighter. Oh, wait, not really. If you find yourself in the Capsule Gang, you'll meet Shotaro Kaneda, who's like your textbook anime Chad. Gets the ladies, beats the baddies, and cops the sweetest rigs. Man, I need to get me one of those.
Cool.
And then there's the little brother of the group, Kaneda's best friend, Tetsuo Shima. Well,
The exact opposite.
He fucking
A total
sucks.
wimp. As a kid, Tetsuo in his college thesis forehead got bullied for being the new kid
The
at
anime
Oregon.
is called Akira?
That's until
Yeah.
bro Kaneda came to the rescue.
eventually the two went to vocational school together and formed the Capsules. But Tetsuo was never satisfied with Kaneda being the leader of the pack. Tetsuo desired more than anything to be top dog.
Oh, I can just see that monkey's paw curling in my mind. Or that kid walking down the street. Shit, Tetsuo, watch out, you're gonna...
Oh shit.
That definitely should have killed him. But since it didn't, Tetsuo earned himself a ticket to military confinement. Turns out they had an under-the-table program for developing child superweapons.
In the same program that backfired and jump-started the war, Tetsuo became
Stranger
Japan's
Things. It's like
expert
they're
number
making 11.
1.
He may not have been a
Esper?
natural with bikes, baddies, or
Did they
bait,
just say
but
Esper?
this
I think they did.
telekinesis stuff hit different.
Oh, it is 11.
Walked out of that hospital ward effortlessly flying, reading minds, and blending people into strawberry jelly. Tetsuo got what he wanted. Power, along with the hunger for more of it.
A hunger that used to only be satiated with drugs. And not just any gateway drug, pills so potent that a single gram of the stuff could kill you.
So,
Ugh.
pretty bad. Kinda reminds me of college days, huh? Snow wizard.
Tetsuo's main
Ooh.
ability is his constantly increasing psionic energy, growing more and more powerful over time. This is due to Tetsuo's link to, quote, the memories of the universe, end quote. It's weird.
Either way, Tetsuo leveled up from lame gangbuster to certified badass. This guy is a walking natural
shit.
disaster. His telekinesis can shake the planet, easily cause earthquakes over a dozen miles below the surface. He can summon psychic barriers for defense and crush foes with friggin' gravity wells. He can dart around as a literal bolt of lightning, or even teleport in an instant.
Can
Tetsuo's
teleport?
telekinesis can be so precise he can target and obliterate specific parts of the body.
Ooh.
He can heal severe wounds quickly, but even after losing a whole limb, he can craft a new one using whatever nearby materials he wants.
The hell?
His powers, Top Dog Kaneda didn't matter anymore. Who needed his approval? Tetsuo tasted that good shit and he was hooked. And when he found out another Esper named Akira could deal him even more
Akira,
power,
yeah.
he ran
Akira.
through
Guess we've
Tokyo
been
to
pronouncing it
find
wrong.
And this is where versions of the story differ.
Spoilers ahoy!
You may be familiar with the 1988 animation, where Akira had been dissected for research. However, in the original manga, Akira is not only alive, but even more powerful.
Once that little runt nuked Tokyo, Tetsuo would erect the Great Tokyo Empire with Akira and himself as its leaders.
Oh.
But he ended up just abusing the position for endless sex and inflating his ego.
With Kaneda's
What?
rebellion at his front door, Tetsuo took a turn for the worse. He had to fight.
Tetsuo's defeated other powerful espers, dodged light-speed lasers, and jumped to the moon faster than anyone could blink.
He jumped to the
And then punched
moon?
a big old hole in it. And if you ask, Boomerstick, wouldn't that mess up gravity on Earth? You would be right, because it totally did. Screwed the planet, I guess. Stupid moon.
Which brings us to Tetsuo's folly. His abuse of his powers spiraled until he lost control. Unfortunately for Kaneda's rebellion, this did not make Tetsuo an easier enemy to confront. Exactly opposite, in fact, has Tetsuo painfully mutated into an unstoppable behemoth.
Oh!
Yep, that's
Oh.
not totally disturbing at all.
I'm happy to say the manga's version is even more disturbing.
Oh!
I mean, I know babies can be monsters, but that's a whole nother level.
It is pain incarnate. I can relate. Another Esper described Tetsuo's struggle as ego death, which has multiple definitions, but in this case is likely symbolic of the version attributed to drug use.
Yeah, it's described as a shedding of one's own identity, like how LSD can emulate a wild out-of-body experience, and you come back with a new perspective. Though this is maybe a little more extreme. In fact, you could say Tetsuo was shedding his human body to play with the powers of a god.
I
Is that
wish
Rick
I
and
could
Morty?
shed
It
Oh,
is
yeah, there it
Rick
is.
and
But in this case, Tetsuo going full out of body meant becoming a mound of raw, ever-expanding energy.
Which almost nuked Tokyo all over again. And those explosions are not normal. I would know.
Top scientists in both the manga and animated versions describe these explosions as births of a new universe.
What the
Given its
fuck?
properties of nuclear fusion and proton collapse, Tetsuo's mutated form was likely creating a Big Bang.
You know, the thing that started our whole universe?
Right, in the manga, it instead ended the Espers and their abilities once and for all. A testament that humankind is unsuited to wield the powers of the divine.
Though the anime's even more trippy. Thanks to Akira and his buddies, Tetsuo got so high on ego death, he ascended time-space to become god of a new universe. Kinda worth it, right?
And yet, Kaneda kept his empire up in his honor, now as the Great Akira Empire. Ironically, in death, Tetsuo finally received the attention he so desperately craved.
I gotta watch this
Bets
movie.
are set. We've run the data through all possibilities.
It's time
For a death battle! Did we really need to pause it? I was gonna go with Magneto.
You're still gonna go with Magneto?
Yeah?
Akira was having explosions that were compared to the Big Bang.
Yeah, Magneto's taking on the Phoenix Force.
Is that more powerful?
I think so. I think it's similar. Also, on top of that, like, Magneto is, well, he's old. I mean, look at him. He's old. He's got experience. Imagine how much more control and experience Magneto has compared to, like, Tetsuo, whose main like ultimate move is losing control. I'm right.
He doesn't have a whole lot of control over his powers, that's true. I mean, that mutation looked pretty gnarly. Not to mention, I mean, also, it seems Magneto has more precise control over his powers. Like, being able to control this small trace amounts of
Fucking
metal in the atmosphere and in people's blood.
In the atoms, he can go down to the atoms and fuck them up. I'm right.
Okay.
I'm right.
Yeah.
Because they hate Death Battle hates anime. You ready to go?
Magneto.
Magneto, if we're wrong, we gotta slap each other. But I don't think we're wrong. We're not wrong. I'm never wrong. I'm
You're
never
just
wrong.
gonna be like, alright. It's time for a death battle!
I still got one pocketed, just so y'all know.
Even in Japan, they fail to recognize our criminal.
Wrong country, Grandpa! You're in Akira turf now! You're dead meat!
He also seems a little reckless. Like, he's just, like, went straight into attacking this guy.
He's got an ego problem.
The hell are you calling child? I make the rules around here!
They're kind of setting him up to be like the antagonist of this battle. Oh. He did the orbit thing.
You're wasting my time.
He's gonna make the new arm.
All the tricks for the master of magnetism.
He makes it out of metal.
You know, just making him punch himself.
I'll kill you!
You just put metal right there next to you.
Your history, scumbag!
Come on, Magneto. You let the metal arm punch you.
I mean, I guess we are kind of assuming that it is metal.
Fucking up the polarities. Uh-oh. They shattered it. Come on, don't tell me you're vulnerable to psychic attacks now. Oh shit, wait, what? Oh! No, come on! Yeah! That's right!
Had enough tantrums to last a lifetime.
Oh no. Oh. Oh no. Imagine animating this. Ew. Gross.
Welcome, I'll handle this on my own! Die! Hurts. Help me.
It's gonna be like a mercy killing. He's putting him out of his misery. Oh! He made blades out of blood! Oh, that's sick though.
Are they both dead?
No, when has Death Battle ever done a tie other than like the jokes?
Poor child.
Thank you.
Aww. He put him out of his misery.
You are welcome.
I'm never wrong.
Tetsuo!
Bullshit.
Oh, God. I'm never doing that again.
Tetsuo's esoteric telekinesis and other bizarre abilities certainly gave Magneto pause, but the Master of Magnetism had greater control over his foe.
The numbers don't lie. Tetsuo cratering the moon was insane, but Magneto punched Iron Man with the force of the sun. And while Tetsuo jumped all the way to the moon, Magneto could move across galaxies.
Yeah.
Against Tetsuo in his human form, Magneto obviously held a sizable advantage in power.
This one felt kind of short. How long was this video?
All that matters.
18
With
minutes?
precise telekinesis, Tetsuo
Oh
could
god,
just Magneto
I thought we were screwed for a second there when
Yes,
he made
but
his
Magneto
face
had
swell
similar
up.
skills. There are very few substances on Earth that lack any metallic or magnetic component, and Magneto is very creative with his powers.
which he could use to predict Tetsuo's teleportation and even shut down his telekinesis. And his scraps with Xavier prove he could handle Tetsuo's messing with his head. The biggest challenge for Magneto was when Tetsuo's gross mutated power came into play.
Especially given how the detonations from this form were compared to that of a Big Bang. although the authenticity of that observation is questionable. In truth, the Big Bang was a sudden expansion of matter on a universal scale, whereas Tetsuo's explosions are more akin to nuclear blasts, clearly intentional given the post-war symbolism of the Akira story.
The whole creating an alternate universe bit wasn't even part of the original material, so we can't exactly call it canon.
But let's just say the comparison wasn't superfluous. Let's say Tetsuo did in fact cause a Big Bang capable of creating or destroying an entire universe, alternate or otherwise.
Turns out Magneto had the tools to stop that too. Helmet Head could
Oh.
overpower Hercules, who was strong enough to hold up the skies of Olympus,
There you
which
go.
is literally heaven and an alternate universe.
This doesn't
I don't know if it's
necessarily
the same
mean
guy, but
easily
Percy
destroy
Jackson
a
did that
universe
too.
with snap
Oh, come on.
He can match a similar level of power, and context is everything. Tetsuo's Big Bang eruption specifically exhibited proton collapse, meaning its atomic structure is primarily an unstable mess of neutrons and electrons. And Magneto has detected and commanded unstable electrons before. This means Magneto had every means available to take control over this Big Bang.
Damn, and I thought he could just move some metal around. It's like the question posed by some of the greatest prophets of our time. Fucking magnets.
Oh.
How do they even work?
Magneto's astonishing
Nice.
power and intelligent control over all things magnetism triumphed in the end.
Tetsuo pushed his luck, but didn't have the metal to pull off the win.
The winner is Magneto.
Yep, sounds about right.
Thank you for
Come on,
watching this
anime!
episode. If you'd like to directly
Anime!
support the whole Death Battle team,
Anime so you can
click
have
that
them
join button and
lose.
Consider becoming a member. We'd really appreciate it. Hope you like the next one.
What is it? I don't know what that is. Oh,
Hercules?
like the legend, or is it like from the Disney movie? I think it might be the legend.
I don't know, understand why it would be in a Disney movie. That'd be kind of a wonky ass death battle.
I guess it's the Greek god Hercules versus the Sun Wukong. I told you this earlier. Sun Wukong is the main character. I think he's either a Chinese god or he's the protagonist of the story Journey to the East, which is the book that that Dragon Ball is based on.
What do you mean based on?
Inspired. Dragon Ball was inspired by Journey to the East. Down to Goku has a tail and he rides around on a floating cloud. Of course, I think you mentioned that you knew that it was going to be Sun Wukong, but you thought it was.
I thought it was different.
You thought it was Ruby Sun Wukong.
Yeah.
Who would he have been fighting?
Hell if I know, I mean...
Gorilla Grodd. I don't know.
That's a fandom. Death Battle Wiki. There's the upcoming battle.
Oh my God. Ew.
Is that Dwayne The Rock Johnson?
Well, he played Hercules in a movie. Is that seriously the thumbnail they're going with?
Where the series?
Hercules from Greek and Roman mythology, and Sun Wukong from it's Journey to the West. I knew it was one of the two. And Chinese mythology in a battle between legendary mythological heroes. Journey to the East, Journey to the West. East? I thought you said West.
No Disney Zero to Hero, just a classic Greek myth. And like most Greek stories, it began with Zeus being a total creep. Yeah.
All right, let's wrap it up. We have a mythological one next one, so let's see how that even fares up. All right. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'm Josh.
I'm Jace.
We'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.